Something is missing. Years of academy training wasted. So welcome back to Boring Build Friday on what is now the All Ford channel. Yes, another Ford. 2019 Ford Explorer Limited all-wheel drive. Similar to our last one. This one's missing a few options. It doesn't have a sunroof, it doesn't have distance sensing cruise control, and it doesn't have auto park. But it does have a clear title and only 21,000 miles. Since the other build was so easy, I decided one that might be a little more challenging. You remember we had all the extra parts left over from our other build? Well, I found a place to use them. And this one's going to use quite a bit of them, even a little odds and ends. So let's take a look at it and see what we got. So it looks like someone wasn't paying attention and rear-ended another car. It missed the reinforcement, which is where all the strength is, went right over the bumper, and the upper rail and the tower, the headlight, took all the hit. There's really no support up there, so it doesn't look so good. Now, if you remember, that rail assembly, the tower assembly, the apron assembly, that's all one big piece. It takes 36 hours to put in and costs 600 bucks. It also comes with that fancy little bracket up there in the bumper. We have all that left over from our other truck. Don't know how much we're gonna need, but we'll find out. Somebody also really wanted out of this car after the accident, so they opened the door and bent it over on the fender. Ford's pretty proud of these doors. They're pretty pricey. I believe $1,400 just for the shell. Used ones are a little cheaper. All I really need is a shell though. So, not sure exactly what I'm gonna do just yet. And it really does need a shell. We can't use a skin because it's pretty bent back in here. $1,400 should be a little tougher. Got a little damage on our back door here. Probably from whatever hit it. Glanced off it again. So we're gonna have to straighten that. It'll straighten up. Don't need a skin. It's not that bad. Looks like I missed the quarter panel. So it's just gonna be that door. This side of the truck looks okay. All I see is a little door ding on the driver's door and a little bit of dirt. No airbags went off. And it has 21,486 miles. Probably got a few tenths on it because I did drive it down the street to the other storage yard. Got an airbag light on, but there's some broken wires up there, so that's probably why. Other than that, runs and drives pretty good. Got a noise from the rear. We'll have to figure out what that is. And it's fairly clean inside. So we're gonna need a grill. Those are pretty pricey. Maybe I can find a used one. Looks like we're gonna need a hood cable because that doesn't belong there. I do have one on the front end, so that'll save me a few bucks. We'll need the upper bumper cover, which we still have left over from other front end. That fog light. Looks like a couple parking sensors and maybe a wiring harness. All that we have left over. Washer bottle, overflow bottle. That's all stuff we have. Even if we need that engine mount, we have it. So we need the upper rail for sure, the tower, the apron. We'll need a fender, which we already have. A hood, have that too. A headlight, well, we're gonna have to buy that. We all know, Ford's pretty proud of those. We need a radiator support. This does fit the police interceptors, so as long as it's all-wheel drive, we'll get the right one. They're pretty cheap. Gonna need a radiator. The top of it's broken. Can't really see it. You have to trust me, it's broken. Maybe some AC lines. We have a lot of those. So we should have about 80% of the parts we're going to need for this build, all left over from our other job. So here's our leftover front end from our 2018 Ford Explorer. Finding a place to use all these parts really helped this build make sense. Now for my absolute favorite part of any build, the teardown. So we'll pull the bolts out across the top of the radiator support. Take the grill and closeout panel off. Unbolt the fender liner from the bumper. Also the wheel opening molding. This side we can remove the headlight first. Wonder if I get the core back on this. Well, that's not supposed to come off like that. Fog light in the pile. Oh, some more headlight. Now we'll unbolt the wheel liner from this side. Unbolt the bottom of the wheel liner. Looking for the washer lines. Don't need to disconnect them because they're broke. Now we can unbolt all the shields from the bottom of the bumper. Pry that wheel opening molding out of its clips. And now we're going to unbolt the headlight. Because I'm too lazy to take the wheel liner out, I'm going to move it over a little bit just so I can get to these top bolts that hold the bumper to the fender. Pull the bumper down. Unplug the wiring harness for the bumper. And now we can get to that last bolt, the only one that was actually holding the headlight in. It was at this point that I realized the top of the radiator support, the hood cable, and this headlight were not damaged in the accident. It was the auction, stuck the loader forks underneath the front of the hood and yanked it up to be able to get to the battery. So because they wanted to start it, they did about $2,000 worth of damage. Thanks, guys. Now we'll test our patience with these plastic retainers for the wheel opening molding. They have Phillips heads, and you unscrew them a little bit, the centers come out so you can pop the clips off. That's how they work in theory anyway. Sometimes they don't come off, so you just tear it off and get new clips. We got the floor drain waiting to swallow up any screws I drop, or tools. It especially likes 10mm socket sacrifices. So now we can get to the bottom bolts on the fender. One inside the wheel well. One bolt inside the door. It's not really convenient to get to when you can't open the door all the way. Thankfully, we have the technology for ratcheting wrenches. Couple bolts on this bracket on the front of the fender. Now our bolts across the top. One more underneath the A-pillar trim. And then we'll pull the fender off. Carefully. We don't want to damage it. Ford and their glued on fenders. Now I take the wheel liner down. Turn the wheel to get that liner out of there because it was kind of smashed in there. I win. Now we can start stripping our parts front end down. Pull the hood off, hinges and everything. We had used our hinges on our other build, so we're going to have to get new ones. Luckily these are pretty cheap, like 20 bucks a piece. Not too bad. The pile. Unbolt the bottom of our fender. Bolt in the wheel well. 2 in the front. 1 in the back. Without a door, it's pretty easy to get to. So now we're going to get our glue out of there. We actually really don't want to damage this fender. So I just have some welding wire. We'll feed it through there. And work it back and forth, kind of like we were taking out a windshield. A lot of people say to use heat on these, but because they have an irregular shape and they're such a long area, if you heat them up, it doesn't always get all the glue soft, and you end up damaging the fenders because the glue is stronger than the metal. Good job, Ford. So doing it this way, you just run that wire up there, cut all the glue out of there, and lift the fender off. Doesn't take that long, and everybody's got welding wire. So we got as far as we could on the bottom. We'll feed it through the top. Get the last little bit. And our fender's off. Pull the top 2 bolts out. We left those in there just so the fender didn't fall on us. And it's free. So that's the glue I was trying to cut. And you can see the irregular shape, which is why heating it isn't always the easiest. Now let's strip everything off of our apron and our frame rail so we're ready to use it. We'll put all this stuff in a box because we're probably going to end up putting it on our new car. Unbolt our AC lines. Unbolt our engine mount. I'll pull the electrical box out of the driver's side. It goes over the hood cable that we're going to need to get out of there. So I'll pull the hood cable out. This is really not a fun job with no engine and no dash. I can't wait to put it in the other car. So we got our car on the frame rack. Let's get it all set up. Lift it up, put our stands underneath it. Set it down on our stands of the non-Harbor Freight variety. Now we can take off our rocker moldings. So we'll unbolt the wheel opening moldings, pop the little clips out, get it back just enough to get to that one retainer that's inside the back, and pop that out. Now we can pop all our clips out across the top. And then we'll pull the bottom off. The retainers stay in the truck. Then you just twist them out later. These are the retainers. You just turn them a quarter turn and they pop out. Of course, that's freedom units. If you're using metric, you turn them 90 degrees because we know you guys don't like fractions. Now we'll do the driver's side. Pull the wheel opening molding off. Pop the clips out. And pull the rocker molding off. Pull the bottom out. Oh, forgot that last retainer. Why don't you guys tell me? So now we can slide our clamps on since we can see our pinch welds. Not the most efficient system for clamping up cars. This frame rack is 30 years old. So you take what you can get. We'll lift it up. We'll pretend like it didn't take me 10 minutes to slide those clamps over the pinch weld. Tighten all our clamps down. And we're ready to start pulling. We'll slide our tower on. Play a little mini golf. Disconnect the washer line to the hood. Pry it off the hood hinge. We'll stuff it up underneath the liner so we don't snag it on things when we're trying to take the hood off. And now we'll unbolt the hood. We'll unbolt it from the hinges. Leave the hinges on the car for now. Now we can start pulling. Put a clamp on the front of this apron. Guess it's actually the frame rail. Hard to tell. It's all crumpled up at this point. We'll figure it out after we pull it out a little bit. Paid a lot of money for a slinky. So we'll see just how far this rail will go. About that far, because if I go any further, that part's going to tear off and send a clamp across the shop. Sometimes it's fun to watch, but there's cars back there, so not today. So now we pull that out a little bit, we can get some of our stuff off of here. What's left of our overflow bottle. Pull the clamps off. And we'll unbolt the bracket that's supposed to be holding that in. Couple ground wires. What's left of the radiator support. We have to bend over the stud that holds the washer bottle on. And we can unbolt the washer bottle. Relocate Mr. Spotty. Unplug our washer bottle. And get to the other bolts. Now we get that washer bottle out. We have this left over from our other one as well. Pull that apron out a little more. Pull the upper rail a little more. You got a better grip on it. I decided I'm going to keep this lower rail, so we're going to have to straighten out the brackets that are attached to it. So this bracket is for the airbag sensor and the radiator support. It's just laid back. Slowly pull it forward, hammer it out, stress relieve it so it stays where we put it. Unbolt that sensor, It still has the plug on it. Could be the cause of our airbag light. Now we're going to save that $600 bracket. So we'll pull it forward. And we'll tap it down. Much easier than replacing it. That little piece on the top there. This is the top of the reinforcement. Haven't quite decided if I just want to bend it back over and weld it up or replace the whole reinforcement. Not really going to hurt anything, just to fix that little corner. So we'll figure it out next time. So that's it for our Explorer today. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you want to see more of this build or whatever else I'm working on. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.